This fanfiction is only for entertainment purposes, so please don't take it seriously and don't be offended. It's just a story made out of imagination, so it doesn't define any character in real life. I hope you'll enjoy the story and leave positive comments without hating the author and character. I don't own any pictures, but the storylines are completely mine. I will do voiceovers so you can mute it if you want. Hope you will like the video. He thought I would always come back to him, and I thought he would never give me a reason to leave. Turns out we were both wrong. The cold wind brushed against my face as I stood near the large window of my chamber, staring at the royal garden. That garden, he had built it with his own hands, just for me. A gift from a husband to his wife. A promise of forever. And now, that same place felt like a cruel joke. The door creaked open and my maids, Leah and Annie, entered silently. They glanced at me with careful eyes, as if even their breath could break me further. Leah spoke softly. "Leah, preparations are complete, Your Grace. We can leave now." I let out a hollow chuckle, my eyes still locked on the roses blooming under the sun. My heart twisted at the sight, memories stabbing deeper than any blade. When? 2 years. He followed me for 2 long years. I rejected him again and again, but he didn't stop. He put aside his pride, his title, his image, and kept chasing me. He never gave up until I said yes. That love which was so great, so unforgettable. And yet, just a few years of infertility erased it as if it never existed. What a joke. My gaze hardened as it fell on the sight in the garden, the emperor's concubine walking gracefully with noble ladies, laughter echoing like poison in my ears. 3 months ago, that woman had entered the palace, claiming she carried Taehyung's child. My Taehyung's child. He didn't deny it. He didn't argue. He gave her the Rose Palace, once a place meant for honored guests. He gave her nights, time, and silence that once belonged only to me. That night, I had waited for him. Desperate. Broken. Hoping he would come to me with an explanation, a reason, anything. But he never came. Not that night. Not the next. Not for 3 months. For the first time in our 7 years of marriage, his footsteps never reached the Empress Palace. Rumors spread like wildfire. They said the emperor was finally at peace, spending his nights in the Rose Palace with the only woman who could give him an heir. And the Empress's palace? It became hollow, lifeless. People who once tried to please me now bowed to her, the woman who carried his child. But none of that mattered. Because the only person I wanted, Taehyung, didn't come to me. Didn't even try. Annie's trembling voice broke my thoughts. "Annie, should I arrange an audience with the emperor for you, Your Highness?" I turned, my eyes sharp, my voice steady though my chest ached with every word. When? Why? Did he once ask for an audience with his empress in these 3 months? Then why should I? Why should the empress need permission to return to her own home? The silence in the chamber was heavy, but Leah's lips curved into a faint smile. She had not seen this side of me in months, the empress who had dignity, who had self-respect, who didn't beg for love. The woman who once stood tall, untouchable. "Leah, let's go home, Your Grace." Her words wrapped around me like a gentle reminder. My heart ached as I looked at the palace walls one last time, every corner filled with memories of him, his smile, his voice, his love that once was mine. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, I nodded. And step by step, I walked out of my chamber. Away from him. Away from the man who promised me forever but forgot me within 3 months. Jimin burst into the study, breathless, a stack of papers clutched in one hand. Taehyung looked up at once. The worry in Jimin's eyes cut through the quiet like a blade. Jimin had been his guard since childhood. He knew how to read him. "Jimin, Your Highness, the Empress has left her palace. She took her maids and rode off in a carriage a few moments ago." Taehyung raised an eyebrow and pushed a loose strand of hair back from his forehead, calm as always. "Taehyung, softly, I didn't hear she was going for her routine check in the Empire. Is that not due for another month?" "Jimin, no, Your Highness. She isn't going on a routine visit. She's going to the Duke's mansion." Taehyung let a gentle smile spread across his face, as if thinking of nothing more than a small, harmless absence. Taehyung, she must be missing her family. She hasn't gone home in months. Don't worry, she'll be back in a day, maybe 3 at most, like always. Jimin stared at him, panic and confusion mixed on his face. He still didn't see the danger. Jimin, I have no right to interfere, but as your friend, and as your guard, I must say this. The rumors are spreading, Your Highness. They say you spend your nights with Miss Ella. They say Miss Ella carries your child. Taehyung chuckled, low and sure, and Jimin flinched like he'd been slapped by the sound. The laughter came easy because Taehyung knew the truth. He saw the way Jimin misunderstood. Taehyung, my foolish friend, do not worry. My wife and I trust each other. Those are empty rumors. My Empress would never believe such lies. There is no way she would think I bet another woman. She knows me. He shook his head as if the whole idea were the world's worst joke, the notion that he could be unfaithful, or that another woman could ever replace Wen. Jimin, you are too carefree, Your Highness. Taehyung, smiling, if you had a wife like mine, you'd be carefree too. There is no one like her. She is my heart. My life. When she sees the truth, she will be proud of me. They thought they could shame us. They thought they could make her leave. They are wrong. Their heads will hang figuratively for treason. Jimin wanted to argue, to make him see how wrong this looked from the outside. But Taehyung's calm was like a wall. Jimin knew better than to try and break it. Taehyung's voice grew colder, sharper, the smile gone. Taehyung, tell the Black Knight to shadow the Empress closely. Now that she is out of the palace, the risk of attack is high. I will not tolerate a single scratch on her. Jimin bowed and left quickly to carry out the order. Taehyung watched the door close, then turned to the window. The garden below was bright, unaware of the storm. He let his fingers tap the table, a small, restless rhythm. In his head the plan played on repeat. The Count had tried to drug Taehyung that night, but Taehyung had used a night to fool everyone, and the Count's daughter had been brought in as the supposed mother. Taehyung had found out, escaped the scene, and spent the night with Wyan as he always did. He had let the Count think he had been the one taken. He had let the Count parade his daughter as a victory. It was all part of the trap. He had not told Wyan. He had thought you would never believe such a cruel lie, and he believed you trusted him enough to wait. He was certain his plan would crush the Count and clear their names. He thought his silence would protect you from worry and the risk of the plan failing. But watching the empty road where your carriage had gone, something tight and fierce hurt inside him. He had never wanted you to feel abandoned. Pride and strategy had pushed him to act without you, and now your absence rang in his ears like a fault he could not fix. He would finish this. He would bring evidence, shame the traitors, and make the truth so loud no one could ignore it. And when it was over, he would go to you. He promised himself that, quietly and fiercely. He stood straighter, walked back to his desk, and signed an order with steady hands. Protect the Empress. No harm come to her. Then he called for his most trusted men and began to move the pieces of his plan forward. A month later. The study was quiet except for the sound of paper shuffling under Taehyung's fingers. But he wasn't reading. His eyes kept flicking to the door again and again. It had been a month. A whole month without a single reply from you. A whole month of sending letters that never returned. The silence had begun to eat at him. Finally, against his will, he had sent a summon. His last hope. The door opened. His heart jumped, only for it to crash. It wasn't you. It was your eldest brother, Unwoo. Taehyung, voice tight, I summoned my Empress. Not you. Unwoo bowed slightly, his gloved hands neat, his face calm. But Taehyung saw something flicker in his eyes, something cold. Unwoo, I'm not here because of your summon anyway. I came to meet my old friend. Not the Emperor. He tilted his head slightly. Unwoo, so if you don't mind, can we talk like old friends, not as Emperor and the Duke's heir? Taehyung stood up at once. This man had been like a brother to him once. And now, this distance. He walked closer. Something was wrong. Jimin, standing at the side, looked away. He knew what was about to happen. But he wouldn't interfere. Not today. Unwoo smiled. For a moment, it was the old smile Taehyung remembered. Then, in an instant, it turned into something deadly. His fist connected hard with Taehyung's face. The impact sent a hot sting across Taehyung's mouth. Blood bloomed at the corner of his lips. Eunwoo grabbed his collar, yanking him close, eyes burning. Eunwoo, low, furious, if you had even an ounce of shame, you would never dare send a summon for my sister after what you did. But of course, you're shameless. Moralless. And it's Shoal who bedded another woman while his wife, my sister, waited for him. Guess you had too much in your balls. I would have crushed them if I hadn't promised my sister I'd only punch you once. He shoved Taehyung back and calmly began to pull his gloves back on. Taehyung wiped his mouth, still calm but his heart beating fast. Taehyung, it's not like what you tea. Eunwoo, cutting him off, I don't have time for your excuses. He straightened, voice dropping into a deadly calm. Eunwoo, I came here with 2 pieces of news, Your Highness. First, my sister, your Empress, is 5 months pregnant. You would have known if you had even tried to know, but you were too busy with your other woman. He paused, a cold smile curling his lips. Eunwoo, and the second, greater news, she is not coming back here. My sister's child will be born in a happy, wholesome home. In my home. He adjusted his gloves neatly. Taehyung stood frozen, the words striking him like blades, greatest joy, deepest wound all in one breath. Jimin's eyes widened at the news. A small smile of relief flickered across his face. At least you were safe. At least there was a child, but his chest ached at the broken man before him. He gave a silent nod of congratulations to Eunwoo, who returned it with a slight tilt of his head. Eunwoo, guess the second news was only good for us, Your Highness. I'll take my leave now. He bowed once and walked out without looking back. Taehyung's knees gave out, and he sank onto the couch. His breath came shallow, his vision blurring as the reality hit him. Taehyung, whispering, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? What was my fault? Jimin stepped forward quietly, a glass of water in his hand, his face grim. Jimin, if I can forget you're the emperor and I'm your guard, if I can speak as a man to a man, I'll tell you the truth. The whole truth. Taehyung looked at him, eyes hollow, heart bleeding. He had dreamed of these months. He had planned them in his head, the soft mornings, the gentle care, his head resting on your belly feeling his baby kick. The dreams now slipped like water through his fingers. He nodded silently. Jimin, slowly, you're a genius in politics. The greatest emperor this empire has seen. But if I were your wife and you created for me the situation you created for her. He met Taehyung's eyes firmly. Jimin, then either you won't be my husband anymore, or you won't be alive. The words landed hard, but instead of anger, Taehyung let out a laugh. A laugh so hollow, so sharp, it broke in the middle. It was a laugh full of pain, regret, and a loneliness only he could taste. He pressed a trembling hand to his lips, his mind reeling. The woman he loved more than his life. The child he had dreamed of. The home he wanted to fill with laughter. And he had been the one to push them both away. The emperor, the strategist, the man who always won now sat on his couch, feeling like the greatest loser of all. A month passed. You sat in your chamber, softly rocking your 1-month-old baby boy in your arms. His tiny fingers curled around yours, and you couldn't help but smile gently at him. Around you, your entire family stood like an unbreakable shield, loving, protective, and furious at the very thought of the man who had hurt you. They never once let you regret your decision to leave that palace. Jilung, your father, placed a hand on your shoulder, his voice calm yet heavy with authority. Jilung, don't worry, my dearest child. Just divorce him. You don't need to think too much about it. We are all with you. Eunwoo, your eldest brother, stepped closer, his jaw tight. Eunwoo, of course. I'll personally deliver the divorce notice to him. He won't even dare come near you after that. I will make sure of that. Max, your second oldest brother, gave a sharp, bitter laugh, though his eyes burned with anger. Max, forget notices. I'll fight your case myself. I'll make sure he won't survive this mess he created. He doesn't deserve you, and he sure as hell doesn't deserve to call himself your husband. Jugu, your younger brother, always reckless but fiercely loyal, clenched his fists. Jugu, and I'll find a perfect man for you. A man who will worship you like a queen. I'll even take his eye out so he never dares to look at another woman again. Trust me, I'll make a perfect man for you, no less. Lisa, your mother, the softest yet scariest of all when it came to her children, smiled sweetly, but her words were sharp enough to kill. Lisa, or we can just rebel against him. Tear down everything he has built. If he loses his power, he won't ever have the courage to send a summon for his child again. Problem solved. They all spoke with smiles, but beneath those smiles, you could feel their killing aura, their thirst for revenge. The reason for this sudden storm was the summon that had arrived only moments ago. But unlike before, this time it wasn't for you. It was for your baby, the royal child. For the past 4 months, countless letters had arrived from the royal palace, from the emperor himself. But none of those letters had ever reached your hands. Your brothers burned them before you could even see them. What was written inside, apologies, explanations, excuses, none of it mattered anymore. It was too late. Too late for love, too late for forgiveness. The moment you had walked out of the Empress's palace, you had left every drop of your love for him there too. Whatever existed between you and Kim Taehyung had been buried with your pain. 3.5 months ago, the count who had betrayed the crown, along with his pregnant daughter and their entire family, even the most distant relatives, were executed brutally. Everyone said it was Taehyung who ordered their release, only to crush them in the end. Maybe it was for you. Maybe it was to prove his loyalty. But you didn't care anymore. His actions no longer mattered. No. I will go. Your family turned to you in shock, their protests rising, but you continued firmly, tightening your hold on your baby. After all, we cannot keep a father away from his child. I always knew he would be a great dad, even if he failed as a husband. And my child, he deserves both a mother and a father. So I will go. Your lips trembled, but you forced a faint smile. I will not abandon my position as the Empress just because of one man's mistakes. I will not leave my child's future in ruins just because of a jerk. Your family exchanged glances, furious, worried, but unable to stop you. They saw it in your eyes. You were now a mother, and a mother's decision was stronger than any sword. Taehyung's steps froze the moment he saw you. After months of silence, you were back, standing in the Empress, palace like a dream he thought he had lost forever. The news of your arrival had reached him, and without thinking, he ran. A bright, almost desperate smile spread across his face as he finally reached you. In one swift motion, he pulled you into his arms, holding you so tightly it felt like he was scared you'd vanish if he let go. You could feel his trembling chest, the way his breath shuddered with relief. But you stood still, soft but distant. You gave him a faint smile, but your eyes no longer lit up like they used to. Softly, if you won't mind, then instead of my husband, can I speak with the emperor right now? His body went stiff, but he forced a small smile, his voice low and pleading. Taehyung, yeah, of course. Of course, my love. Say whatever you want. I'm listening. He still didn't let go. His arms were locked around you, as though he could hold the cracks together by force. Calmly didn't know the emperor had closeness sickness. Do you hold every lady like this when they ask for an audience? His smile faded at once, the warmth draining from his eyes as guilt and panic flickered across his face. He slowly loosened his grip. You gave him a small push, and this time he let go unwillingly, his fingers brushing yours as if to memorize the touch. Taehyung, voice breaking, it was all a lie. Everything. I never looked at anyone but you. I never cheated, and I never will. There will never be another woman in my life but you. The Count's daughter never carried my child, it was all false. A trap to make them lower their guard so I could find proof of their treason. You listened quietly, your face unreadable. Then you smiled, a soft, tired smile. There really was a time when I wanted to hear all this. A time I begged the heavens for an explanation. But time moves fast. So fast that now I don't need it anymore. I don't know how to believe my husband anymore. And, truthfully, Even if he did share a bed with another woman, what does it change? I mean, of course he can. He's the emperor. He can have as many concubines as he wants. Because I don't need him anymore. Your Highness. His eyes glistened, his voice urgent. Taehyung, there won't be any. Ever. I won't have concubines. There will only be one woman in my life, my Empress. When, and why should I believe that? He blinked hard at your words, like he had been punched. You had no idea how many women had tried to approach him thinking they could replace you, how he had punished them all, even banned every single female servant from the Emperor, Sun, palace. He didn't want anyone but you. You looked at him steadily. When? The only reason I rejected my childhood crush for 2 whole years was because I was afraid. Afraid that once he became king, he'd have many concubines. And I didn't want to share him. That fear stayed for so long, until the day he actually brought in a concubine. After that, the fear disappeared. It was painful for a few days. But once the pain faded and I accepted the reality, I understood there's nothing to be afraid of. Why should I care if he has concubines? It's not like he cared if I cried. His voice cracked. Taehyung, you don't believe me. Not even a bit. Couldn't you at least try? You laughed softly, but it wasn't joy. When? Oh, of course. The woman who was called infertile for almost 7 years after her marriage, already insecure, should believe her husband when he brings in a concubine and never denies the child isn't his. A very solid reason to believe, Your Highness. He stared at you, tears slipping down his cheeks. But your eyes were already dry. You had cried too much before. You straightened your back and spoke, your voice clear but low. So, Your Highness, let me put my condition before you. The day that should have been the happiest of my life, the day I found out I was pregnant, my husband brought in a concubine. He broke everything. I cried for months because of him. My condition worsened. I almost died giving birth. I want punishment for this husband. I will live in the Moon Palace with my child. But the Emperor will be banned there. He cannot come. He cannot meet me. Not even look at my portrait to lessen his guilt. And if he don't agree to this, then divorce me. The color drained from his face. His heart dropped like a stone. A silence heavier than any sword hung between you. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely a whisper. Taehyung, you're angry. When? No. I'm hurt. There's a difference. He swallowed hard, tears still running down. Taehyung, will you ever forgive me? You paused, your voice soft but steady. When? As a duke's precious daughter, if I do that, I won't be able to meet my father gaze who taught me to fight for myself and my self-respect. So no. As an empress, I still have some dignity left. So no. As a wife and the mother of your child. I can't say. Time will decide. He let out a shaky laugh that sounded more like a sob. Taehyung, I guess I really made a foolish decision. One that destroyed everything. I will go with your first condition. Please live here with our child. Punish me as much as you want. I'll try my best to suffer twice as much as what I made you suffer. His head dropped as tears slid silently down his face. For the first time since you married him, the Emperor looked small, not powerful, not invincible, just a man broken under the weight of his own mistakes. The open end.